Hello, my name is Jackie and welcome to my secret garden. It's quite a scruffy little garden really because our focus has been on encouraging as much wildlife as possible. So it's quite overgrown, quite jungle-like in places and very green, and I absolutely love it. And I really hope you enjoy this tour and you love it too. Thank you. So this is Hosta Valley. It's a good spot for these plants because it's sheltered and there's a bit of sun and quite a lot of shade, and it's sheltered from the wind. I really love the sculptural quilted heart-shaped leaves and the pale lavender flower spikes that come up in the middle of the summer. Come the autumn, I let the slugs take over, and then you have these wonderful autumnal hues of russets and golds and lovely lacy textures in the leaves. And I think it's just as beautiful actually in autumn and winter as it is in summer when the leaves are green and lush. So this is Hades, our cat, who seemed to sneak into most of the shooting of this film. And I'm now going to talk about our lawn. Well, when I say lawn, we haven't really cut it for 2 years because we wanted to encourage as much wildlife as possible, bees and bugs and butterflies. The dandelion flowers early on in the spring, they provided vital pollen for the bees. And now we've got this beautiful decorative daisy carpet. It's like a mini meadow really, and it's really pretty. And I think, well, who needs grass really when you can do this? This is one of my favourite plants. It's a Chinese lantern or Physalis. It's got great year-round interest. And at the moment we've got these new growths shooting up and we've got tiny green bells starting to appear. Then from mid to late summer we have these gorgeous bright orange lanterns. I love them positioned against the blue wall and it makes the colour really pop out. And in autumn the orange fades to a peach and then to a beautiful lacy lantern with a bright orange seed inside, which you can leave for the birds. You can also cut them and take them inside, and this is some from last year. We've got the dried heads. So again, it offers year-round value and it's a really beautiful plant. So we've got a couple of little ponds in the garden, very simply made by digging out a hole and putting some plastic bowls and metal bowls in there. Obviously it's great for attracting frogs, frog spawn, butterflies, beetles, all sorts of little pond bugs. It's great for water as well for the birds and also for other mammals who venture into the garden. So this was made from just buying a very cheap big plant pot, filling it with a few stones, water and a few cheap plants. This is a few little pond snails I think in there, which I spotted the other day. And we've had dragonflies and it's really nice having water in the garden. Very important. One of the great joys of spring is when the ferns appear. You have these young fronds of ferns and they start unfurling from these brown nubs of roots and these bright lime green prehistoric shapes growing up and waving in the breeze. I love the shapes they create and the shadows and the dappled light, and also the contrast between the feathery leaves of ferns and the spiky grasses and zebra grasses, especially in the early morning when you get the light shining on them. It's really beautiful. So I don't like waste, so when I cut back the grasses I often gather them together and put them in pots, and then I keep them in pots around the garden and add them to spaces, so they just add a little bit of architectural interest and a bit of contrast of colour. So here are some of the flowers at the moment in the garden. This is a lovely Geum that comes back every year. This is an Aquilegia Nora Barlow. Just beautiful. I don't know where it came from because I didn't have it in last year, and it's the first year it's flowered. I was absolutely blown away how beautiful it was. Violas, of course, ever beautiful. These pinks were in the garden when we moved in over 20 years ago, and they just come back and spread, and the bees absolutely love them. One of the highlights for me is the bird life. I just love looking out the window, watching the birds, sitting on my little bench, hearing them sing. Absolutely fantastic. I've just got cheap and cheerful feeders and bird food from Wilco's, and I've placed the feeders so that the birds can see them, but they're next to like a bush, so they've got a quick route to escape, because like everywhere else around here there are loads of cats. So we have our regular visitors, which most people probably have. We've got a lot of sparrows, we've got blackbirds, wood pigeon, collared dove, robin, magpie, green finch, and the tits, the long-tailed tit, blue tit, great tit. And we also have our more occasional visitors. So we've had a sparrowhawk last year, happily eating a sparrow on the lawn. We've got blackcaps, wrens, we had a redpoll once, a crested tit. Very occasionally we have goldfinches and dunnocks. And then a couple of months ago, I was looking out the kitchen window and I saw a pair of gold crests. So I was so pleased to see that. I didn't know what they were. I had to grab my bird book, but they were right in front of me, so I was able to identify them quite clearly. And that was a really special moment. So there we have it, our garden. Light and shadow, birdsong galore, and lots of colour, especially later on in the summer. It's all a bit rickety and overgrown. We could call it naturalistic, actually, but it provides a haven for wildlife and also for us as a family. And I really hope you enjoyed the journey with me, and maybe next year you can come and see it for yourself. Thank you.